Phantom is a mafia romance set in 1940s Seattle. I originally opted to read this during October because I thought there would be something to do with ghosts, with this being called Phantom. And whilst there are mentions of ghosts, it doesn't really revolve around ghosts at all. Our main characters are Gigi, a married woman in her 30s, and Ronaldo, a mafioso also in his 30s. It's dual first-person point of view, but I would say we spend more time with Gigi than we do with Ronaldo. I really like the design and layout of this book, as you can clearly see whose chapters is whose from the images. Although of course there are limitations because this is just in black and white, so sometimes it was a little bit hard to read in low light. Gigi likes to keep a diary, and at the end of some chapters you can see some entries that she makes. Although I did find that it mostly repeated what was said in the chapter, sometimes word for word, so I'm not sure if it benefits the story in any way. I also like that the author made a glossary of some 1940s terminologies, and that she made some playlists. To me, it makes it feel like the author wanted to truly create an immersive world for their reader. The story itself takes place over the course of about a year, and when the day changes there'll be a timestamp to show that. The first 2/3 of this book were mostly establishing the relationship between our two main characters, and that took us up to like September, October time. Their relationship mostly develops in the final third of the book, but it made it feel a bit too slow burn for my liking. There are two subplots going on, so Gigi's home life is deteriorating, and Ronaldo has a lot of business going on with his mafia life. Whilst our two main characters were getting acquainted with one another in the first part of the book, I actually found the subplots more interesting. For a long time, Ronaldo is actually stalking Gigi through the window, and then at some point he introduces himself, but he doesn't talk for ages. And then there's a lot of will they won't they, and usually we have to wait until Ronaldo visits the house next to see what happens during the next visit. But somehow his actions didn't match his words, as when we go to his point of view, he's like obsessed with her. For example, after glimpsing her through a window for the first time in his life, he says that his free will is indebted to her. It felt very insta-lust to just be attracted to someone's appearance, but his inner monologue sounds like it's someone he's known his whole life and he's in love with. I think I was just struggling to comprehend how he's developed these complex feelings after just seeing her through a window and not knowing hardly anything about her. Similarly, I was also confused by Gigi's reaction, as initially she finds him scary and she doesn't know what to do about this stalker outside her window. I kind of had to put aside my reservations for this development of their relationship, because towards the end things did get spicy and things did feel more authentic. It became apparent to me as I was making my way through this book that this is actually a prequel to another book called Haunting Adeline. It then became a bit more obvious why there were quite a few descriptions of the house and its gothic exterior and why it was built, and also why there were so many mentions of ghosts and haunting, but that didn't really fit with the theme of this book, which is just a purely 1940s romance. I have a feeling there were quite a few Easter eggs hidden throughout this book, and there's also this bonus chapter at the end. So I guess for fans of Haunting Adeline, this is perfect. And I had a feeling that this book was probably written with them in mind, but as someone who has not read it, it felt a bit like not being privy to an inside joke. This book was fine as a standalone, but I do think the ending was very unsatisfying, and the only way to remedy that would be to read Haunting Adeline. I did enjoy Gigi and Ronaldo's love story overall, and I love the 1940s vibe, but I feel like there could have been more content within this 300+ page book. There will of course be several pages that have been taken up by the images and chapter breaks and diary entries, and this unfortunately brings me on to one of the major negative points I have about this book, and that is the actual book itself. Like, the quality was just not giving. I bought this book brand new and I've only read it once, and I wouldn't say I'm anal about keeping books in pristine condition, but I don't like to crack the spine and I try not to bend the covers or anything, but this one has peeling on the edge, and the pages themselves just feel very warped and heavy, like they've been through a war. I think it's a combination of the paper being too thick and there being many heavily inked pages. The binding of this book doesn't seem to be able to support this format, as the glue started to come away, and also the binding itself wasn't straight to begin with, so it probably causes some structural issues. When I first saw the cover, I thought the red and black looked really mysterious, and the artwork itself looked really cool. But the closer I look, the more I suspect that maybe AI was used with this. Ronaldo is said to be blind in his left eye, but nowhere did it say he didn't have a left eye. I've never seen anyone with an ear that looks like this. Is it just me, or do the window panes look a little bit off center? The more I looked, the more I suspected, but I'm not an AI expert, so I don't want to make full-blown accusations, but I'm just saying some things looked a little bit off. I recognize this was independently published by an indie author, so I don't want to knock the book quality or the artwork too much. The price of this paperback was on the higher end, and I bought it from a national retailer, so I feel like there's certain expectations that need to be met. For me personally, buying a physical book is an experience, and I want to keep physical books in my library for a long time. Unfortunately, this experience has left me a little bit disappointed. I think in the future, I might check if something's independently published, and I might opt to just buy an ebook rather than a physical book. There are some fantastic indie authors and books, so I still want to support them. Although saying that, I don't think this author is my cup of tea, due to the writing style and also the way this story ended. I love the plot, but not so much the execution.